Subscribe to this channel right now before we say another word, because what we are about to break down for you is the kind of story that only happens once in a generation, and the people telling it have the receipts to back up every single word. Hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and let us get into the most extraordinary collection of independent eyewitness testimony about any athlete in professional tennis right now. Two separate people. Two separate careers spanning a combined 70 years inside this sport. And both of them, without coordinating, without reading each other's words, said something so similar about Eala that you have to stop and genuinely process what it means. Let us start with the number that stopped every tennis executive in the UAE in their tracks when it appeared in the Khaleej Times this week. 48%. That is the year-on-year jump in ticket sales during the Women's Week of the 2026 Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships compared to the previous year. 48%. A single tournament. A single season. A single player. Tournament veteran referee Hassan El Khafif has worked professional tennis in Dubai for over 2 decades. He has been on court for matches involving Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, Andre Agassi, Venus and Serena Williams, and Maria Sharapova. He knows what a packed stadium feels like. He knows what a full house generated by a legend of the sport looks like from the baseline. And when Eala showed up in Dubai ranked 47th in the world and proceeded to reach the quarterfinals while packing every single court she stepped onto beyond the venue's comfortable capacity, El Khafif told the Khaleej Times something that has since traveled around the world at extraordinary speed. He said, "This was a different experience." He said, "I have seen Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, and Agassi. Obviously those matches had full houses. But this was a very different atmosphere." And then, with the directness of someone who has spent 20-plus years observing crowd behavior at elite tennis events, he made the comparison that changes everything. Eala's matches reminded him of Sania Mirza when she played there for the first time, when the venue was overcrowded with Indians, and the stadium felt like a Davis Cup venue with people cheering for their country rather than just one player. And then he said the number, all her matches had packed stands, even the 2 semifinals did not have that kind of crowd, and the demand for Eala's match tickets was crazy, messages arriving on his phone non-stop from people desperate to get inside for a quarter-final match involving a player ranked 47th in the world. A 48% annual increase in Women's Week ticket sales. Generated by one 20-year-old Filipino athlete playing her debut tournament in the Emirates. Now let us layer on top of that the testimony of Jürgen Hosinkoff, a German tennis photographer who has spent 50 years working in this sport and who has been attending the Dubai tournament specifically for over 20 years. Hosinkoff did not start in tennis. He came up through travel photography, lifestyle content, social media work, and general assignment journalism before the German tennis boom of the 1980s, when Boris Becker and Steffi Graf turned an entire nation into tennis obsessives, pulled him permanently toward the sport. He has photographed Becker's Wimbledon celebrations. He got the first informal engagement photo of Novak Djokovic and Eala before they were officially announced as a couple, simply by being in the right place and asking the right question at a players' party in Dubai. He has seen Ana Ivanovic in her prime. He has watched this tournament grow from a small event that needed to actively recruit audiences in a region where cricket dominated sports culture into one of the most prestigious stops on the entire calendar. And when he describes the years Federer played in Dubai as the previous peak of what he had witnessed there in 2 decades, he is speaking from a reference point that very few people on earth can match. What did he say about Eala? He said that in the first and second round of a WTA tournament, which are traditionally the sessions where the stadiums are half full and the media coverage is sparse and the atmosphere is functional rather than electric, he encountered something he had never seen before in over 20 years at this event. The stadium was full. The atmosphere was loud. Fans were genuinely, emotionally invested in every single point in a way that he had simply never experienced in an early round at a WTA event. Never. He said it plainly. It has not been like that ever before. He remembered watching her win the Junior US Open in 2022 and noting her as a promising talent. He filed it away, as he has filed away hundreds of promising juniors over the decades, Because the gap between junior success and senior impact is enormous, and the tour is full of former junior champions who peaked before they ever made a meaningful dent at the professional level. But then she came to Dubai, made the quarterfinals, and the crowd told him everything that had changed. Her loss to Coco Gauff, which ended in a 6-love, 6-2 scoreline, was still described by Hozinkov as something really special because the result is only one part of what makes a sporting moment significant. The atmosphere, the sense that something larger than a single tennis match is unfolding in that stadium, those are the things that separate a memorable event from a score that gets archived and forgotten. Dubai gave him that feeling in a round where he had never felt it before. The Australian Open deepened his conviction. He was navigating the Melbourne Park grounds during Eala's matches and found the outer courts, which can normally be moved through with relative ease at a Grand Slam, impossible to traverse comfortably because of the crowds surrounding every court where she was scheduled to play. He walked past one court and found something he had genuinely never encountered before at a Grand Slam outside event. A large group of Filipino fans had set up on the outside lawn with flags, food, and drinks, unable to get into the actual venue because the capacity had already been exceeded, watching on one of the big outdoor screens that the Australian Open places around the grounds as if it were a World Cup viewing party. He took photographs of it. Not because he was assigned to, because he recognized, in the way that someone with 50 years of experience recognizes historic moments, that what he was seeing deserves to be documented. And then he arrived at Indian Wells and watched fans climb into the elevated galleries of the adjacent big practice court just to look down from above at a training session she was conducting on practice court 6. A practice session. No points. No match on the line. No ranking implications. The galleries were full of people craning for a sightline to a court where she was simply working through her preparation drills. Sky Sports tennis Gigi Salmon put the broader picture together precisely when she spoke to Tennis 365 this week. She said that Coco Gauff recently apologized to fans for holding up a match involving Eala and promised the crowd she would be out soon. Players are already saying, Salmon noted, the same things they used to say about Roger Federer. I know you did not come to support me, but thank you very much. When the players around you acknowledge on court that they understand the crowd did not come to watch them, you have reached a level of fan magnetism that transcends individual results. That is Federer territory. And that is the territory that a Dubai referee and a 50-year photographer are both placing Alex Eala in right now, independently and without coordination. But Hozinkov did not just offer praise. He offered a warning, and it is the most important thing he said. He explicitly hoped Eala and her management keep their heads. He was direct about what he meant. Commercial opportunities are arriving in enormous quantities. Sponsors are waving large checks. Media appearances are multiplying. The space in the schedule that used to be occupied by practice and preparation is being competed for by brand obligations and promotional commitments. His concern: players who get swept into the commercial machine before building a solid enough competitive foundation sometimes find themselves in a position where the attention and the expectations outpace the results. His phrase was precise and careful. Sporting success is number one, and everything else will follow. That is advice and a warning simultaneously. The advice is to keep competitive development at the center of every decision. The warning is that the alternative, optimizing for commercial visibility at the expense of tennis development, has a documented track record in women's tennis that is not encouraging. His wish for her is to play smaller tournaments. To grind out wins on every stage, not just the biggest ones. To build the habit of winning that prepares a player for the moment when the largest courts and the highest stakes arrive. She is 20 years old. She is ranked 32nd in the world. She holds a 10-6 record for 2026. She has already beaten Iga Swiatek, Madison Keys, Yelena Ostapenko, and Jasmine Paolini in meaningful professional matches. The foundation Hozinkov is telling her to protect is already real and already impressive. And with Indian Wells now underway, with the California Filipino community mobilized in numbers this tournament has never seen, with a potential Coco Gauff rematch waiting in the third round, and with a 50-year photographer and a 20-year tournament referee both independently invoking the Federer era to describe what she generates wherever she plays, the question is no longer whether the world is paying attention to Alex Eala. The question is whether the titles are coming to match the atmosphere that is already there. Drop everything in the comments right now. Does the 48% ticket sales jump in Dubai tell you more about what Eala means to this sport than any ranking or any stat line could? When a veteran tournament referee who has been on court for Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, and Agassi says her matches felt different from all of them, does that change the conversation for you? And do you think the warning Hozinkov delivered about commercial pressure is something the people around Eala are taking seriously enough? Smash that like button if you believe the titles are coming and the atmosphere is just the preview. Subscribe to this channel right now because Indian Wells is live and we are covering every match, every crowd moment, and every roar from those stands in real time. Share this with every Filipino fan you know. The whole world is watching, and for